So this bill in the U.S. and the same is going on in Canada is being used to make tyranny and injustice of elimination of due process and use of indefinite detention without charges legal and legitimate.
Shame!
The bill also extended for another year the ban on transferring prisoners back to Guantanamo, even to face trial. So no one can be moved from Guantanamo to the U.S. And it makes it legal to subject anyone who's been branded a terrorist, which really means virtually anyone, to be indefinitely detained. So where does our security lie in the face of the fact that what is legal is not what we think of as the rule of law? And we have to ask, what is the relationship between the means and the end? If the end is democracy, human rights, and the rule of law, then how can it be achieved through a system that sanctions state agencies and institutions to act with impunity? So we're here today, I think, to say that our security really lies.
CJPME's campaign has called for the repatriation of Khadr, like other countries have done for their citizens in Guantanamo. CJPME strives to enable Canadians of all backgrounds to promote justice, development, and peace, not only in the Middle East, but here at home in Canada. To this end, we must hold our government accountable for its actions, especially when it deprives its own citizens the rights the law guarantees them. The Harper government has ignored the Supreme Court of Canada's ruling to repatriate Omar. Failure to do so is a direct violation of Omar's rights as a Canadian citizen under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
A Canadian citizen who fitted the definition, entirely fitted the internationally recognized definition of a child soldier. His incarceration and his treatment are illegal, and the Canadian government is an accessory to the illegal actions of the American government in its continued persecution of so-called terrorists and anybody who opposes them, and it's just outrageous. So I'm not going to say anything more about Omar Khadr and his detention, but I will say that what we need in Canada is a government that has compassion. This government has absolutely no compassion. It is merciless. It commodifies human beings. It thinks that the government should be run as a business, and that is one of the problems. We need a government that represents the real attitudes, the real feelings, the real principles that everyday Canadians operate under and run their lives. The government, the governments in the West and the government of Canada is tiptoeing towards an Americanization of society, and it is American immense military power to attack foreign countries. What the hell Canada was doing in Afghanistan, I have no idea. And we're an accessory to the criminal activities of the American government, both abroad and in its homeland. Not only did Obama sign on the very last, in the last few hours of 2011, not only did Obama sign the NDAA, which is the National Defense Authority Act, which, as has already been mentioned by previous speakers, takes away nearly all the civil rights of American citizens. Just before Christmas, Mr. Harper signed an act that harmonized Canadian security with the security in America. And just think what that means. I mean, I was having a conversation the other day with a person, an activist, and he said that actually if we were in the United States, we could be labeled as terrorists because of the conversation we were having. Our rights are under threat. Mr. Harper is taking us incrementally towards harmonization with the government's, the administration's activities in the United States.
But, you know, it's a little colder than I thought it was, and it was going to be, but it's still what's colder than the weather right now is our harshness of politicians that don't feel any sympathy for homeless. I know we're a small number over here, but they say that an oak tree is formed by a couple of nuts sticking to the ground. And here's what we're going to do. Okay, so years ago, when I heard about Omar's story, it was amazing for me to see, how little any of us have done for him. And I questioned myself on what I've done for him. And I remembered, me being a Muslim, I remembered a saying of the Prophet Muhammad. He mentioned that, if any of you see something wrong, then you should change it with your hands. And if you're unable to do that, then you change it with your voice. And if you're unable to do that, then you hate it in your heart, you change your beliefs in your heart, and you hate it in your heart, and that's the weakest of faith. So all of us over here, the least that we can do is hate the evil crimes that they do in Guantanamo, hate the evil treatment of Omar Khadr, and hate the injustice that's going around today in our world.
I'll start, I guess, when growing up and traveling abroad with my family. I can remember going anywhere in Europe, South America, Asia. I can remember people applauding us or praising us because of the symbol of righteousness I had embedded on my clothing. That symbol of righteousness, of course, was the Canadian flag, was the maple leaf on my hat or on my backpack. It was a beautiful, beautiful symbol. We were men and women on a world stage dancing, praising each other. Canada was seen as a beautiful, sovereign, independent nation, and now we have lost our righteousness. Ladies and gentlemen, we have lost our righteousness because we're becoming more and more aligned with who? With America and their foreign policies. We are in their shadow right now. And in the shadow in the sense that the world sees us as an extremity of their power, as a subsidiary of their policies, and it's an embarrassment. We should be proud to be us. We should be proud to be Canadian. Now, this Omar Khadr incident, this Omar Khadr issue that's been going on for the last decade, to me it's not a political thing, it's a humanity thing. It's a humanity thing. It transcends far beyond politicians and political parties. It transcends far beyond them. What does it mean to be Canadian? Well, I can think back to the history books and social studies classes that I grew up learning about. World War I, men died to establish us on the world stage. Men died to say that Canada was a sovereign, independent, beautiful nation. Men and women are still dying today in Afghanistan, but for what? They're going over there to instill a belief and an idea, democracy, values, that we can't even apply to our own here at home. And it's a shame, my brothers and sisters, it is a shame to have that, to have these men waste their lives, to have these women waste their lives, our brothers and sisters, your mothers and fathers, your sons and daughters. Go over there and instill a belief that we can't even practice here at home,